Now on Cos and Heels, it's time for the 13th Immortal Mal Meninga. Get discounted prescriptions and save more money every day at Chemist Warehouse.
All right, I want to start here.
Yes,
because I know he's a devoted parent. He probably hasn't been listening in Canberra this morning. So let me put this to you, Mr. Meninga.
Yes,
my fellow host this morning has just had a text from his wife saying that their youngest son, who we know is in Barcelona for a soccer camp, has the chance to go to the Champions League semi-final Barcelona-Inter at the Olympic Stadium in Barcelona tomorrow. The cost is $600 for the ticket. What would you be doing as a parent?
I'll be rocking a hard place, right, Patrick? He's got to go. He's got to go.
No worries. Mal, you can start off with the GoFundMe page. I'll send you the details just a moment's time.
Because I can remember back when I was 11-year-old and our trip away we're living in Monto, maybe going to Nango, mate.
Yeah, it was getting billeted at Bundaberg was as good as it got.
Something like that, yes.
He lived in Bundaberg. He lived in God's country. Why would you want to leave Bundaberg?
Well, that's it. It's a long way from Barcelona. Hey, Mal, obviously a lot of things happening in the rugby league world. It's never a dull day. It's a game that just keeps on giving. We'll ask straight up about David Fifita. Been dropped off the team. We saw Desi Hasley yesterday do the press conference before the team had been announced, so we probably didn't get peppered too much. What's your take on this? Because if he goes through their team, 4 straight losses in a row, but he wouldn't be the only one that's underperformed.
It's always the way, isn't it? Because you got to blame everyone, really. You got to look at yourselves, as a coaching unit. You got to look at the team, obviously, and what sort of things are not working for you, and what things are working for you. I mean, I think it's a grab at desperation. That's just my own personal opinion. I mean, you look at what happened to Jeremiah Nanai up in the Cowboys. They their first or second game, they didn't play well. All of a sudden, Jeremiah's been dropped and he's come back, with new vigour. So maybe that's the strategy. So drop Dave, get him thinking about what he wants in life. Get him thinking about, does he actually want to play rugby league? At the highest level, and put those effort areas in that obviously they're not that happy with. So maybe that's the strategy, guys. I'm not quite sure.
Mel, I'll stick with Dave Fifita. Do you think the Titans is the best suit for David Fifita? Because he was at the Broncos, he showed all this promise, he's got wonderful talent, you've seen it, you've been a part of it firsthand. He's been down at the Titans, but it just seems as though he hasn't hit his top potential. Is maybe him being at the Titans not a good thing?
Well, maybe a change of clubs going to help, but we've talked about this before. I just feel that the environment. I mean, we always talk about the Titans, and we always talk about not winning games. There's something going on, down there. There's something in the water. Maybe it's because of the lifestyle, all those sort of things. But I've been inside the Titans environment. I just feel that it just doesn't have that winning mindset yet. And I think that's the most difficult thing. So when you talk about habits at a club and cultural habits, I know that they're trying to change that all around, and it's through perseverance and that belief and trust and all those words that you need to get a team powering along, and they just need a couple of wins and then get that belief back back inside their minds as opposed to physically. I mean, they're a good footy team. They can score tries. They've got great talent there. It's just when they get into tight spots, they're not coming through the other side successfully. So that tells me that's just a mindset where they've fallen into that's very negative.
Yeah, well, we may as well stay there. Des obviously had to answer a few questions about Fifita yesterday, but he was pretty strong on this crackdown. We might listen to this, Mal. He's skating on thin ice here, having another crack at the NRL.
I agree with the majority out there. That Andrew and Peter are doing a great job, but for Andrew to say that there hasn't been a crackdown is wrong. I think in my eyes, I think it's wrong. I feel sorry for teams that maybe got players suspended last weekend because of bunker interpretations, whether they be right or wrong. And it seems like all of a sudden that, we're going to move the goalposts, but which is not a clear response.
So, look, it's been the most debated thing. Cos and I, all the way through the week, mate, the phones have lit up, the text lines have lit up about this high shot crackdown, which is, don't call it a crackdown. What's your take?
Well, there's obviously been an overcorrection in my belief, and hearing Andrew the other night, he believes that as well. So the simplest solution is, leave the bunker's got to stay out of those decisions unless it's really critical or it's a really dangerous situation in a game. Then just leave the bunker to the try scorings.
Yeah.
So it really is that simple. I know Wayne come out with that, and he's been a big advocate for that for a number of weeks, and I just feel it has been a bit of an overcorrection. I mean, I mentioned the other night that from a rugby league lover's point of view, a fan point of view, all that stop-start nature, all those penalties. I mean, I did Fox on Saturday. There was 27 penalties in 2 games. 6 sin bins. So that's unfair, I believe, on teams, because they've got to actually prepare for that now. They've got to prepare well, if there's moderate force. And this is the other thing about it that I struggle with when they talk about force. I mean, every contact's on moderate force. Whether you're running the football or whether you're making a tackle, it's all forceful. It's all collisions. So how do you judge what a moderate or a severe high force is? Because every contact's that.
Yeah, you make a good point. 18 sin bins over the course of last round, so all eyes will be on the adjudicators this weekend, and in particular the bunker. I mean, the Satili Tupanua, how he was able to stay on the field after doing what he did was a scratch your head moment. But big news yesterday, not for some. I mean, for myself, I just thought it was as per normal. But DCE has announced that he's going to continue to play for Queensland. I thought the bigger news would have been if he had made retirement. But while he's still playing good football, I absolutely encourage him to continue being captain for Queensland. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. If he's got the desire, I think that's the number one factor. He's got the passion to put that maroon jersey on. He is an integral player for the New South Wales. I'm sorry, the Queensland team. What am I saying, Cos?
Cold weather, mate. Early start.
Cold weather. God blimey. I fully agree. I've always been an advocate, and you know me, that if you're playing and your career's you're still playing first grade and you're still playing well enough, make yourself available for representative football. So you're a long time retired. So, which also indicates obviously he's going to play on.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely, it does.
That's what.
Well, they're saying he's the Roosters are $1.03. They were saying.
Well, the other thing there, I mean, there's been a lot of talk and debate about, should he or does he owe it to the Manly Seagulls to stand down from Origin? I think that's rubbish. I think he's done an absolute admirable job for the Manly Seagulls over a period of time. And you play State of Origin based on your form playing at club, and if your club's providing Origin players, it means you're going places. It means you're doing a good job. So that's my sort of thought on it anyway. Mate, 30,000. 30,000.
So I just want to add to that, Cos, like when the rest of the players are playing really well, like they played terrifically against the Panthers, they're so dominant, all of a sudden he just comes into his own, doesn't he? Like he controls play. Him and Tommy Turbo were fantastic. But the forwards did the job. And it's like any game of rugby league. If your forwards are going forward and they're dominating, well, all of a sudden, players like DCE are invaluable.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just a quick one here, Pat and Cozza, Andrew from Mackay. Can you ask Mel if the Raiders tried to sell Jamal the option of staying for 2 years and then the option of joining the Bears? We know that the big news in the capital is that Jamal is going to head and replace DCE at Manly. Ricky had formulated a 2-year plan for him, but Manly are talking 3 years, which will seal his future pretty much, doesn't it?
Well, it does. He's getting better with age, Jamal. He's been a late bloomer, as we talked about, and his type of player is valuable in our game. That organising halfback that can get you around the field, get to your kick game, get to the corners. invaluable.
Yeah.
So I mean, my advice if I was managing Jamal, I would have said, listen, Jamal, you signed 2 years, and then you see what's happening open on the open market. You've got these 2 new teams coming in, so there's some value in that. But for Jamal, I think it's not only just those 2 new teams. I think other clubs would have, had a bit of a crack at him too, because, like we said, he's becomes a really key player in any team's plans. So, but good on him. He's taken 3 years.
Yeah.
He's got himself some security, and I think he may even go longer than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the game accommodates the older player, particularly with the halfback. They know they can kick a ball. They know they're not going to get hit. They know they can pass, and if they get hit, there's ramifications. And we've seen the older players, particularly if you can start to dictate where the game is going, particularly with your boot, it definitely holds you in good stead moving forward. Mel, there's been suggestion, from I think Brent Reid wrote the story in today's paper, that the NRL should scrap the sin bin and just keep a red card and let the match review committee decide on those sorts of incidents. I'm not sure that I'm a big fan of that, but I'd love to hear your take.
No, I'm not a fan either, cause, and the only reason I'm not a fan is because you can go out there and intentionally hurt a person,
I agree,
and stay on the field. I mean, that's really as simple as it is. As Andrew's made these points through the week, if it's severe and it's it's something that the bin has to look at. I think you need to do that. So you need to follow through with a bin sin binning. I think if you made a really serious offence.
Big Mal on the line. He's going to stick around right to 8:30. We'll get all these tips. There's a couple of texts here though. Just need to sort of go through them. One from Braden. Sounds like Big Mal needs to be sent for a HIA. That's off the back of DCE when you mentioned him playing with the New South Wales side. And
exactly. Concussion.
One little slip of the tongue, they don't let it go, do they?
Oh, God, straight away.
And here's one for you. And we were just reminiscing a little bit in the commercial break. Dave from Cannondale. Mel, in your playing days, you were seen as godlike in PNG. Well, I can guarantee that. I was with them up there with the Kangaroos, with Bozo and Mel as skipper. Would you consider any official role in the new PNG team going forward? It would be an enormous challenge, but huge rewards for the right man. Well, actually, the huge rewards come with the fact that you're not paying tax, which is handy.
Yeah. Oh, man, I love going up there. It's a different world, but I think it's a great world. So the experiences of living up there. I said this the other day, Paddy, I talked to a lot of the expats, and they take their kids up there, and all the kids are in the international in the schools and stuff, and they have a great time. It's just a great experience. So, we all hear about all the stories around how dangerous it is and all that sort of stuff, but I've never really found it that way. And like you mentioned, rugby league people are like gods up there, and it's the only, it's just a great place to be. Yeah, I'd consider being involved in some capacity, but, maybe I'm a bit too old these days to be doing something like that, but we'll see what happens.
No, well, talks a lot of languages when you're not paying tax, I can tell you.
$1 million.
Absolutely. Yes, it certainly will be. I've been up there 4 times.
My Melanesian blood will sort of get me up there and get me through.
Well, if you need an offsider, my hand is high in the air. 600 down for a ticket. Anyway.
We'll do the radio. We'll do radio from up in
Perfect.
PNG.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. I reckon that'd be a real great thing. We might put that, we'll put our heads together after the show. Mel, Magic Round, it's obviously a great concept, has been for a number of years. Hundreds of thousands that come into Suncorp over the course of the weekend. Starts, pretty much tomorrow. The girls in the Origin, they're saying close to 30,000 for a standalone girls' Origin, which is terrific. Given the fact that Queensland retained the series last year, we'd hope that we get off to a great start again.
Yeah, it was a great series last year. A lot of drama, last moment, victory, with the field goal. So, it's huge. Origin's huge, both in men's and women's, and great to see the girls, play under this concept. They did it for the first time last year, and let's hope our girls get off to a better start than they did last year as well. So, but it's 30,000 is a great crowd.
Yeah, the Sharks and the Eels will kick us off for Magic Round. The Eels coming off a win, the Sharks losing to the Tigers. How do you see this one unfolding?
Bounce back, Sharks, definitely. I think they're a consistent team when they pick their team. They'll bounce back, I feel.
Roosters, Dolphins, and the Roosters have made no changes. They're pretty happy with the way things are going.
and the Dolphins aren't, Paddy. So, but they're off the back of 3 wins, and then obviously getting run down by the Raiders last weekend. I think they'll be fired up, and being at home, I like the Dolphins at home at Suncorp.
Yeah, one for the purists. This one you would have thought coming into it. The Rabbitohs taking on the Knights. No Latrell Mitchell. Jai Gray goes back to fullback. Kalen Ponga still playing for the Knights, who just haven't fired a shot. The big talking point out of that is Lewis Dodd, 650K, bought over from the UK Super League, can't find his way into the halves. You would think if he can't find it by now, he's probably not going to find it at all. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I agree with what you said then, Cos. I think, the Rabbitohs with Jack at 6, they've still got a reasonable side, haven't they? When you look at it, So if they put things together, I think the Rabbits can probably score more points than the Knights. At the Knights are struggling. So yes. I think the Rabbits mainly not because of defence, but because they can score more points.
Well, this is the one we've been talking about quite a lot. 5:30 Saturday afternoon, Warriors 4th, Cowboys 6th, and both teams on a roll. New Zealand have won 6 of their last 7. And the Cows are chasing 5 straight after that indifferent start to their season.
Well, yeah, they're both in good form, both sides. They'll have a fair following, on Saturday.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Warriors supporters here in Queensland as well, isn't there? So it'd be interesting to see what the mix of crowd's going to be. But I just got a feeling that the Cows, they're starting to hit a bit of form. Defensively, they're much better. So you would think, the Cows at Suncorp.
Dragons have just been struggling a little bit, mate, and West Tigers have come off that unbelievable win the other day with Galvin back, Leichhardt, all that sort of thing. You've got to think that the blood is coursing in Tiger Town.
Yeah, young Ilias dropped again too, Pat, so for the Dragons, I think the Tigers, they've got to be some sort of consistency there, and with obviously like Lockie Galvin coming back, I've sort of sensed the Tigers we should get away with this game.
Mel, I'm not sure if it's the endone kicking in after surgery, but I have the Titans and they're taking on the Dogs, but I just get a sense that the Titans could probably knock the Dogs over. How do you see it?
The Titans are generally fairly successful around Magic Round, so they do really well. The Dogs on the bounce back though, Cos, so they
no Burton, no Tupanua, no Curran.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah. So, let's go for the Titans at home.
Changed him. See, he just swayed his vote.
Great minds think alike.
You wouldn't have thought it would be 17th up against 5th coming into Magic Round. It's still obviously one of the games of the round. The Panthers taking on the Broncos. Can the Broncos go one up over the Panthers, or can the Panthers bounce back on what's been a pretty dismal year so far?
Yeah, the Panthers will be dangerous this weekend, I reckon, Sunday. So the Bronx have got to be where they were last week. They obviously, Madge is trying to get that consistency. So it'll be a difficult game for the Bronx if they don't come with the right attitude, because I think the Panthers would want this one desperately. So they need it.
Hey, yeah. Sorry, mate. On an aside there, what do you reckon he's going to do with Ezra Mann? Because his return
straight back in
is
for
close.
Mine. Straight back in for mine.
Right.
Yeah, I think straight back in. I'm not quite sure. He'd be fit enough. He'd be trained with the club. He's a valuable, player in their setup. And then obviously, what you do with Benny Hunt then, do you put him straight to 9 or what you do 14? I'm not quite sure. But, like Reynolds is going great, isn't he? Like his first 40 last week was fantastic. Obviously, he's got a shoulder injury. But I just think it's a danger game for the Bronx. The Bronx have got to show a little bit of oomph this weekend, if that makes sense, So just on the back of what they did last week, they were very good last week. So, but this is a danger game for them.
Yeah, well, danger game for the Melbourne Storm, who are flying at the moment, not at their best, but they take on the Raiders, your Raiders down there in Canberra, who are travelling at the moment, sitting 3rd in the competition. But one team they have had the wood over recent years, Ricky's been able to get the job done over Craig Bellamy's team. Can they do it again?
Yeah, Craig must have a soft spot for the Raiders. See, that's the problem. No, what a great way to finish off Magic Round. Two form teams in the competition. Obviously I want the Raiders to win here, but again, it's going to be a great game.
Hey, just want to finish off. Munster, Dearden, DCE, Hunt. They all fit into a maroon jersey.
Well, not all of them, I don't think. So that obviously, Billy's got to make a decision. Who do you leave out? I don't know. That's a difficult one.
Yeah, Tommy Dearden's pushing his barrow extremely well. He is flying at the moment.
Yeah, and I think maybe it's a change, for the good of the game, So if Dearden's the number 7 down the track with Munster, I think you put Dearden in. So just get him used to playing off the bench, maybe 14, and then bring him on, and then all of a sudden when DCE goes, Dearden plays that 7 role.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a moment for Billy and the selectors, particularly with those 4 you just mentioned, and that's not to mention Kalen Ponga and Cobbo and Walsh ready to return, hopefully for those sorts of games. So thanks very much for your time this morning, Mel. We'll catch up again next week, and we'll see you up here in a couple of days at Magic Round.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thank you.